Hello, 1212. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. We're just gonna be warming up the stream because we're doing this live and it's so out of nowhere. So it might take a moment. Of course, you can fast forward if you'd like to the point where we start talking. I'm worried that if I start talking now that I'm going to be repeating myself, people are going to be asking questions, and then it's going to be just a circle of you get me. I'm just going to tweet it out. We'll just give it a moment. I am in the Fnatic office, and yeah, we just finished everything up. We found out our opponent, which is G2. We got second place in the regular split. Yeah, doesn't feel too shabby. Hello, Yokushiki. We're just warming up the stream right now. Taking it easy. Taking it groovy. Just bought my train ticket. Thank you, KFC Warrior. Appreciate it. Hello, Quentin. How are the boys? I think good, yeah. Sub-coach well drafted. First picking Zeri. Difficult stuff. Your new haircut's pretty cool. Honestly, my hair is just really, really long. Like, as you can see, my hair is very long. But yeah, I'm trying something new. Thank you very much, guys. Hello, Xmati. What do you mean? Alright, seems like it's a good time to start. Let me just make a timestamp. Oh, so the first thing I wanted to cover is just a regular season reflection. Thank you very much for your prime, Arda, 2143243. It's gonna mute the alert box for now. I think it's the better way. Properties, and then I will make the sound a little bit lower. Do it into a solid 3 points of volume. So the regular split, always when you begin on a journey, I don't necessarily believe in just, Of course, you want to sign the strongest possible players, and then you piece it together. And you always face the same challenges with any group. And I think esports eventually will get to a point where the bar for professionalism is going to be super, super high. And I've been very fortunate to have a very, very strong group in terms of the level of professionalism. There's always, the tricky thing with League of Legends is that you commit to 5 players at the beginning of a season, and with that commitment, you bring all of their, luggage with you. You bring all of their personal, you get the whole person in the team. And the challenge as a coach, not only as a coach, is the challenge of the team, is to create an environment and a culture that creates, a circumstance where everyone can grow. And, in traditional sports, I would be, like if I was coaching a traditional sports team, the roster of players that I would have would be much larger, right? Would be much larger. And then it would be much easier to enforce my idea of how I believe things should be. Because whoever doesn't fit in that mold, I could work on them in due time, and we can easily, prepare people to be a part of such a structure. Like, this is how we play, this is how we approach the game, this is how we approach practice. If you don't bring this to the table, you'll sit out and you'll get to work on it with the guidance of the additional coaches on the sideline. But esports is so far from that, right? At the beginning of the season, you can make a commitment to 5 players, and their development in terms of, their skill level, their maturity level is always going to be very, very different, right? So you need to make adjustments depending on the circumstance that you're in. But I feel like this year I've been really blessed with, very professional players. We've dealt with challenges like every team does, I think in a good manner. And I think this a couple of days off is going to do us super, super good, and it'll allow us to prepare even better coming into playoffs. And that's important, right? It's like resting and taking some time off from the game is preparation too. I think it's more often I've seen teams come into playoffs not lose because they didn't scrim one additional day or two, but lose because you're not rested coming into the workload that is going to appear when you are approaching playoffs, right? Looking back at some of the games, I think, our loss against Astralis was a sad one, considering the conditions we were in that game. We were very far ahead, and I think Astralis definitely had a pretty good draft against us that made it more difficult to play, but that was definitely one of those games that got away from us. I think the Misfits game also goes without saying. It was just a silly one. I didn't get to listen to the communication yet of that game, so I am curious as to how that sounded, within the game. But all in all, I look back at those 2 losses. I think, the only games that truly felt like the enemy executed better, I feel like was the first game against Rogue, and then the first game against Excel potentially. But there was also some draft mistakes that made it a lot harder for my players to execute. So of course I take the responsibility on my shoulders too, and there was some lessons in that. But in the end, it's always easy to look back and see, if we did this different, then maybe, we would have, Like if we won those games, we would have been 18-0 now. It is what it is. It doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. It's just the nature of the game, right? Best of ones, sometimes you slip up, right? And it happens. That's just the nature of best of ones. You need to be very precise. Like precision is one of the most common unit of measurement when it comes to performance in League of Legends, because a lot of the mistakes that occur in a lot of cases on the highest level, most players know. And in terms of macro, in terms of, what our bar is for good play, I think we are for sure the highest in the league. So I mentioned a lot of the bad games, but I think some of the great games, in fact, I think the second game against G2, the second game against Vitality, I think the second game against Rogue, I didn't feel like the enemy had a chance at all. And the same thing goes for losses, the same thing goes for wins, right? I don't want to, blow smoke up my own ass because, we won a couple of games, but looking at the bar that we set in those games, I think, macro-wise, we are looking very strong. And it's always, what is the general knowledge of the team? What is the peak of knowledge in the team? And I am always the first one to admit, when I've learned a lot of new things, and this year I've learned a lot of new things in regards to the game. So that's super cool, That's very nice. I'm happy about that. I think Marek really brought some eye-opening things because we lost against him in the final last year, right? And he was pointing out why we were losing. What was the main thing? And when that switch, just flips in your mind, it feels like you open your eyes to a whole new world. You begin to view things differently, which has been very positive, which has been super, super nice, in fact. Very happy about that. So I feel like the knowledge ceiling is very high of our team. And now we get to deploy the experience of best of fives. People like talking about the experience of for example, perks. And rightfully so, right? This man has many titles on his belt, and, he's been... But in the end, sorry, I lost my train of thought. In the end, looking at our team, it's like the experience that we have in this team. Oof. I wouldn't be surprised if we have the most best of fives under our belt, if we count all players. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. It's like... Sure, Ivan hasn't played too many of them. I believe he has played maybe 3 in the DC. I believe he played 3, right? But then looking like at Wunder, Upset, Hilly, Marek, like the amount of best of fives these guys have played is crazy, yeah? Thank you, Miss Faisal. Good to see you back. But all in all, I'm happy with the regular split because it leads us into playoffs in a good manner. That's what's important, I couldn't care less about the loss against Misfits. I wanted, of course, to get first in the regular split, but in the end, not winning the split will be a massive disappointment. So us beating G2 now and then Rogue or whatever order we need to do it in, God bless, God bless. I don't mind that at all. I know you guys have a lot of questions, but I think it's more important that I maintain the focus on the topics that most people care about, because otherwise we'll go on so many random tangents. I think it's very important that we keep focused. Okay, so let's look at the playoffs, playoff matchups. I'll just make another timestamp. So Rogue versus Misfits. I believe that the Rogue... So this one is kind of strange because there's a lot of question marks in regard to both teams. It's like Rogue's record in the second half of the split was not that great. And, you know, I'm not so sold on Rogue. But the same thing can be said for Misfits. But they did in fact have a good second half of the split, right? But they stole some wins. Very similar to last year, where they stole some games with the Elder Nashers, and they had some good holds. But usually that's not a reliable way of you know, getting yourself all the way to a final or even winning a best of 5, to rely on teams throwing 6-7k, or in some cases even 13,000k, not 13,000k, but 13k gold leads too. And having a reliance on that and finding yourselves in those spots is definitely a tougher task to work on than to fix some late game decision making that you know, can easily be tapered off. I don't think Rogue, Rogue, they still have a lot of the same issues as last year. I wouldn't really call it choking. I think it's just a lack of awareness of their own problems and not being able to find the solution for it. But we will see. Like best of 5 preparation is very different from best of 1, so let's see how they function. Misfits in second part of the split did beautiful games. Yeah, beautiful is very subjective, right? It's very subjective. I don't think coming back from a really big deficit is beautiful in any shape or form. They got completely stomped by SK today. And SK managed to close the game better than us and G2 did against Misfits. And I don't think there's anything beautiful about that. Because SK kicked them to the ground. Yes. So I think this one is a tough one to call, Rogue versus Misfits. It's a tough one to call. But I would lean in the direction of Rogue. I think Rogue looks like the slight favorite in this one. I think Misfits is definitely the weakest team in the upper bracket. We move on to Excel versus Vitality. So naturally, I would say that I would think that Vitality looks better. Not looks better, but I think the potential is higher. I think looks better is a bit too far. I think the potential is higher. I think they have very strong players with a lot of depth to them. And it's hard to say the same for some of the players in Excel. And always on the surface, I don't know those players personally. So in my mind, naturally, before players show depth, they don't have depth. So it's up to them to prove something different and show something else. I don't see Vitality losing against Excel. And Then after that, I imagine that Vitality will just beat Misfits too. Or maybe it's, I think Vitality needs to beat G2. And that's a toss-up. But I think we shouldn't think so far ahead. What does depth mean? It's like variety in what you are able to play at a very, very high level. So in my mind, if I'm predicting the whole bracket, it's like we beat G2, and then we beat Rogue, and then we're in the finals, and then in my mind, Excel lose against Vitality, Vitality lose against G2, G2 beats Misfits, G2 beats Rogue, and then G2 loses to Fnatic in the finals. But of course, a lot of things can change. But I just wanted to give you some spice. Some spice. Well, this is my prediction of the bracket. Any chance of Misfits beating Rogue in the first series? Yeah. G2 beats Rogue. So we have a guy in the chat that takes a lot of stock in the last best of one of the season. We shall see. Do you think Vitality can beat G2? I think it's possible. Well, yeah, it's possible. It's like, if you're in the best of 5 against anybody, there's a possibility for you to win. Possibility means there's a chance. The percentage of that chance varies, right? It's like someone in the chat has a chance of beating Perks in a best of 5 at some point in their life, but the chance is probably very low, right? Everyone has a chance. So the possibility is like, yeah, you're in the game with them, so that is a possibility in some shape or form. Is it likely? Now that's a different question, right? It's not super unlikely, but, Vitality definitely can beat G2 in the best of 5. I don't think that's too crazy to imagine. It's definitely not too crazy to imagine. All right. I think the next conversation is MVP of the split. MVP of the split, I wanted to go through all of the awards, but I don't want to give my input on this topic involving my own players, right? It's like me calling who the MVP of the split. It's like, from outside, of course, everyone calls for Hilly, but, in the day-to-day, it's like we have fucking heroes in this room, Everyone works so fucking hard, and it would be like unfair to give someone more credit than others, because everyone's working fucking insanely hard. And I see everything that they do. I spend so many hours with them. It's like literally for the last 2 months I've done nothing else but to be in this office, because I live in a hotel. So I've just been in this office, and it's unfair for me to say Hilly deserves MVP. It doesn't make sense, right? But from outside, definitely it makes sense, right? Because of his performance on the stage matches. But it's like everyone has done their part in making this team really, really fucking good. And so, like, if we're going to proceed this discussion, I'm going to not include my own players in this topic. It's like, if I look at the MVPs, if I look at the MVPs, I think, you know, it's always, it's like the issue with MVP is always it's like, what is your own definition, right? In my mind, MVP is like as a player that elevates the level of his team, and that could be like insanely low, right? It's like if I join a team that is 10th place and I bring it up to 5th place, then it's like how I was very valuable for this team in particular, right? It's a very different conversation if we talk about who was the best player, like who's the best player coming from Europe. I don't think it's Viteo. Definitely not. Viteo is not the best player in Europe. And then looking at other candidates, who stands out? I think like Malrang definitely put Rogue on the map, right? I don't think it's like Malrang did a lot of fucking work for his team. And I remind you guys, I am excluding my own like I'm excluding all Fnatic players from this discussion. It's like Malrang definitely. I think it's like Malrang. I'm trying to think of a world where Rogue didn't have Malrang. I think definitely he made a lot of the players on his team look better than they are. I think Jankos had an okay showing, yeah. I think Jankos had a pretty decent showing. I think Caps had his moments too. You know, it's like I'm trying to reflect on the split, but there was definitely moments where teams looked really shit. That's the tricky thing, right? That's the tricky thing. It's like Misfits have the thing going on that they won a lot of games in the second half of the split, right? But at the same time, a lot of those games were stolen, right? G2 had some really terrible low-level games. And same thing for Rogue, same thing for Vitality. It's been quite, you know, so it's a very tricky conversation to have. It's very tricky. It's like Malrang has been very important for his team. Same thing for Fnatic. Is that so? It's like what game was, maybe I'm biased, but what game did we look like really terrible in? Let's be honest. Maybe the first game against Rogue. Good shit, Baron Panda. Yeah, it's hard to put some of those AD carries there, you know, because I think some of these AD carries have overinflated stats. Because Jinx is the mistake punisher. She is the vacuum cleaner of spring splits. So definitely there's a lot of ADs out there that have very overinflated, you know, public opinion. Yeah, I think Mickey, Malrang, Viteo. Yeah, first game against Excel was not a good game, no? It's hard for me to consider Elioya. Like, Elioya definitely had good games, and whenever Mad Lions won, it was often due to his performance. But it's hard for me to, like, consider him, like, in a world where they just won 7 games. Like, that's just not enough. It's like with the context of what that team needs to be, right? I don't think I wouldn't put him up there. Veterans said that Neon might be the best player in the whole LAC. No. No way. This guy is... it's whatever. I don't even want to give him attention. Mad won 8? Well, they won 8. Okay. Anyhow, someone mentioned Larson. No. I think Larson's pretty, like, basic, you know? I think 2020 Summer Larson. No, that was a pretty decent Larson. 2020 Summer Larson. He plays so good in laning phase, no? I hate to break it to you, but I think I'm ready to play Victor on stage. But yeah, Larson is not bad. Like, he's good, but I wouldn't say he's MVP candidate in my book. Yeah, MVP is not the same as the best player in the league. Shouldn't it ideally be the same thing? Ideally, yes, but you know, it's like, is the measurement where the biggest gap is? Is that the measurement? It's like, where is the biggest gap between the role? Is that the MVP or what? And then at that one point, how do you measure roles to roles? Right? No, it's tricky. It's definitely tricky. It's like my definition of MVP is like, this is a specific player that was very important for this specific team. Without him, he's a very tough player to replace, right? It's like saying, it's like asking yourself the question is like, who's the MVP of T1? It's like they are all fucking performing like monsters. So it's very hard to pick one, right? It's like Gumayushi maybe. I don't know. It's like it's so hard. It's tricky. It's like Korea is a fucking monster too. It's like it's hard to choose one, you know. Koma is in down one, my friend. Keria, Guma, Zeus. Yeah, see, you even write 3 people, so it's tricky. Faker. There we go. We have a faker as well in the chat. Yeah, it's like T1 is just a fucking great team all around. But I could also imagine, it's like if I play top in T1, I think we might have a similar record, you know? But that doesn't make Zeus bad. Right? Zeus is fucking good. Zeus is an absolute monster. But I can imagine a world where we still get first place in T1, me playing top. What chance does Fnatic have winning against T1 right now? I don't know, like in the best of 1, maybe like 30%. In a best of 5, you know, if you add 30% together over the span of a couple of games, winning a best of 5 becomes very narrow. I say 30% now, right? But this is something that can change over time, you know? It's like if you have 30% chance to win a best of 1, I think the odds of you winning a best of 5 is very low, you know? And all in all, it's tricky. I think this bot lane meta is actually bad for Fnatic. Have you seen Upset on Caitlyn? I've seen Upset on Jinx. Aphelios is fucking brilliant. Like, come on now. Can you honestly say that you're confident in beating G2 in the best of 5 right now? Yeah, I'm really confident. Why wouldn't we be? They said they're stomping in scrims everyone. But who cares? Who cares? Practice is for improvement. It's like, I can tell you guys, I can admit it, you know, we lose a lot of scrims. But is that what we're going off of? Okay. Good luck. I can tell you guys, in preparation for the finals against Mad Lions, I think we went 20-0 against them. And we got completely ass blasted on stage. Ass blasted. Like our ass got blasted. Blasted. Yeah, we scrimmed mad because we have no one else to scrim. We scrimmed like Mad was scrimming Rogue and us, and we were playing each other. So they were just screaming, you know? Thank you, Impulse Cracked, for your prime. It's just saying you're doing good in scrims, you know? You know? It is what it is. Okay. We talked about MVP. How about rookie? What rookies do we have? Help me out, guys. What rookies do we have? Zlatan, Mersa, Unforgiven, Flucked, Reeker. Targamas is not a rookie. Jankos. Malang is not a rookie. Labrov is not a rookie. Dior and Certus. Synkrov is not a rookie. Targamas has played in the past. He played in Giants. Like the guy played playoffs. Gotlet Drake, yes. Xmati. Marcoon is not a rookie. Yeah. So you guys have absolutely no clue who's not a rookie, and great. Thanks for the help, guys. This is very, very useful. I guess it just has to be. So we what are the top contestants? We have Mersa, we have Flacked, Mersa, Flacked. Let's think of the consideration. Zlatan. I guess it just has to be Zlatan, right? It just has to be Zlatan, right? Has to be Zlatan, I think. Yeah. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is not a rookie. Yeah. Yeah. The rookie discussion isn't so exciting. What about All Pro? What will be the All Pro team? All Pro team excluding Fnatic. What would I vote? What is the All Pro team? I would say probably Broken Blade, Malrang, Veteo. Bot lane is tricky, but I would put support Mickey, AD. What the fuck? The fuck do you put AD? Everyone just plays Jinx. Comp or Neon? Yeah, Trimby has not been doing too bad either. I don't know. I think probably we will put comp. Comp would be the AD probably. Yeah, I think the Trimby argument over Mickey is also fair. Maybe I'm being too nice to Mickey. He ran it down today as Nautilus. Yeah, but that was against us. I don't know. That was against us, so it doesn't count. You know how it is. I don't know, Malrang is also a tough one. Yeah. Probably, me doing this at 12 in the night. I feel like I'm forgetting everything, man. I just wanted to squeeze in one little Voice of Yamato episode before I go for a little vacation where I don't bring my microphone. So you guys don't get a shit quality Voice of Yamato, you know? Yes, Alan, I'll go to sleep soon. I'm at the office. I will not divulge any details in regards to our schedule. Because why would I? Which role do you think LEC is the strongest at? Probably mid lane right now? Mid and jungle? Mid and jungle? Support is pretty fucking good too. Our jinxes are good. Yeah, the jinxes in LPL are really bad. Which Ari skin is the best Ari skin? I think Elderwood? I don't know. ADs of Europe right now don't get me too excited. Upset is a machine, but then I don't know. But maybe it's unfair because I'm looking at everyone through a Jinx light, and I'm looking at how they lane, and that's why it made sense for me to consider Comp and Trimby there for the All-Star roster, Thank you very much, Reddish Star, for your prime. Did you have any spicy picks you didn't bring out? Yeah, of course. Fucking best of ones, man. My spice cabinet remains unopened. So let me tell you guys this, because people are always talking about draft. It's like everyone is looking at every champion in isolation from everything else. It's important to remember, guys, that the power level of a champion... Oh, Dr. Fox PhD, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it very much. You're climbing the ladder, my friend. Soon you're going to be top 1 in terms of how much you've gifted. I appreciate it, and thank you very much for showing up as always. Thank you. So what I was talking about was, like, everyone, you know, people have no connection with one. Like, they look at one champ and they just think about that one champ, and they say, well, this champ is broken, everything is black and white, only in the context of one champion alone. And that is ridiculous, because the nature of a champion and the power of a champion changes depending on which champions you draft next to it and what you drafted against. And this is something that is missed with everybody. It's like, a noob could say that Zed is broken, Zed is always killing me. But if this noob would expand his mind and pick champions that are good into Zed, maybe he would say the opposite. Well, Zed is fucking useless. No, everything is contextual. Everything is contextual. Everything is contextual with everything that is going on in the game, and that is very important. It's a very key distinction. It's the same when people say, yeah, Kassadin scales like it's so fucking good. Just pick scaling, bro. Objective bounties. Well, you could, like, imagine you're playing Kassadin against, let's say, Camille, Lucian, like, I try to think of champs that are just Camille, Lucian, Braum, Maokai, and I don't know, you know. And then it's like, Kassadin doesn't scale so good anymore, you know. It's like he's gonna have trouble this game, and so forth, you know. It's like, not everything is black and white. It always depends on what champions you have next to it and what champions you have on the opposite side. And sometimes, you know, Lucian is considered, another example is, Lucian is considered short range, right, as a champion. He has a skull, which is, the culling, which is very long range, right? And imagine, right? Imagine a world where he plays against 5 millichamps. Then all of a sudden still, he's outranging the enemy. And that's the only thing that matters. He's outranging them. So how much he's outranging them by is not that relevant. But the context is always there, right? Do you think a plat diamond elo player can become a good head strategical coach? It's rare, very rare. Because the question is, it's like, how many people are there in plat diamond, right? There's a shit ton of people there, millions. And can these people, just because they've reached that elo, become coaches? No, fuck no. So, very rare. Why is Ella's draft so unique, and why is nobody else doing it? Why is nobody else doing it? It's like, you know, I keep my ear to the ground. I look at new picks. I always try to keep in the loop of what's going on and what's new. But I also keep the context of my players. I keep the context of my players there, and I keep the context of how much effort and time they need to put into some specific things. And I'm not going to tell them to play some random shit, right? Just because maybe it's good in some cases, you know? There's definitely room to expand further and to go a little bit deeper in terms of exploring what champions could be potentially good. But you always need to strike a good balance. And I agree with the notion that good players should be able to understand champions and pick champions fast, because in theory you play against them in solo queue often, and if you know how to play against the champion well, you should also understand what the champion wants to do and how to do it, and mechanically, understand it, right? So I agree with this notion. I agree with the notion that there is a lot more to explore, and there is, some potential, but I think though that there needs to be some reservation to it, Because a lot of the ideas that are happening in pro are still, like, there's a lot of the ideas that are good. C9 an hour ago drafted Gwen, Volley, Rise, Ezreal, Karma. What is your opinion on this draft? Isn't it too much magic damage? I don't know what they're playing against, so how can I say? It's like Gwen does a lot of true damage. MR items are good, but Ezreal does a lot of physical damage, right? It's like the itemization of these champs. Thing is, the itemization of these champs, they don't mind too much if the enemy team has a lot of MR. If I'm playing Gwen, I don't mind too much if people have a shit ton of MR. Who makes the calls when drafting? You or the players? We do it together. We are sharing our knowledge with each other, and we take the most educated opinions. And my job is to make sure that the players are prepared, and I push my ideas onto them. And then I, of course, piece it together. I need to make sure that it makes sense. A player can come to me and say, yo, I really want to play Heimerdinger. So just pick me Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is really good. And I'm going to tell him, yo, the enemy team has like Syndra, Jinx. Like, you really, like, Heimerdinger is not good here, man. What are you doing with Heimerdinger? He's going to be like, oh, okay. That makes sense. I should be playing Malphite here or something, You get me. T1 is very exciting to watch. A lot of people have been asking me about, what my opinion is of them, and they are definitely looking like the strongest team in the world. It's very sad that Gen.G didn't, feel like their full roster, right? That's very sad, because that would be like the main competition for them, especially when Damwon is going through a rougher patch. And in regards to what? What did I want to say? In regards to the LPL, also a lot of strong teams there. A lot of strong teams there for sure. Weibo Gaming started to drop some at the game against RNG, I believe. RNG is on the up and up again. Yahoo is they seem to be piecing it together. I think RNG was very impressive for last year at the Worlds, even though they lost to EDG. Like, the best of 5 was a tight one. It was a very good best of 5. LPL is very competitive. Like LNG, Weibo, Bilibili, RNG, EDG. And it's like, even now, when I'm fucking mentioning the names, I feel like I'm certain that I forgot someone. Like, I'm gonna just pull it up here. Let's pull it up. V5, yeah, I forgot about V5. Fucking rookie. He's a smacker, man. There's top esports too. Like top esports is fucking playing good too. Occasionally, it's like top esports, LNG, AEDG, RNG, WG, V5, and then there's Snoop DOWG, Nate DOWG, Warren DOWG, OMG, FPG, LGD, IG. Totally, the world elite is in the dumpsters. Yeah, now fucking Victory 5, they have Rookie, man. Rookie is so fucking good, man. Rookie is gangster as fuck, man. Yeah, Cars is a fucking beast too, man. It's hard to keep track. It's like when I'm watching LPL, I don't like. I just look at the games, and then it's like like all the names and all the teams just fucking they melt together, you know. So it's like it's hard for me to discuss it thoroughly. But I remember Karsa Sejuani games have been crazy. Okay, I remember he picked fucking Skarner. Fucking just play Skarner, man. What an absolute machine. Yeah. Oh, I think it's starting to get close to the point where I probably should end it. How do you approach making an effective draft? Start with what you want to first pick. And think about what's the best answer from the enemy on 1-2. And then you build off of that. When you're happy with your 1-2, are you still happy with it after the 2-3 comes? Yes? Continue? No? Start over. And then, of course, you need to prepare for the cases where the enemy changes their bans and move their bans in any direction to try to fuck your plan. You need to cover everything. Every possibility, you need to cover it. It might sound like a lot of scenarios. Like, obviously, I don't sit here and prepare for the case where the enemy team bans Heimerdinger, but there are useful bans and then there are not useful bans. Sometimes we're playing on the stage, as I say, yo, they didn't make a useful ban. They didn't make a useful ban. They didn't make a useful ban. And it just means that our strategy doesn't change. Any special celebration for the ups and achievements today? Yeah, I'm kind of sad that we didn't, honestly. I didn't know that this was a thing at all. Like, I think it's something that deserves to be celebrated and is definitely something that we should put a lot more stock in. And I kind of feel bad that I wasn't more excited about it to him. I think he deserves that. I think today was definitely like a huge milestone. He definitely deserves a celebration. Okay. I feel betrayed, Mr. Yamato. I thought you were a suit 24/7. As a final portion, I just wanted to share some words in the context of what's happening in the world, right? It feels right to speak up about it, to share my 2 cents. I come from a background where I've had, relatives and family in war zones. Being Palestinian, my relatives, they owned a lot of land in Palestine that was, taken over by settlers in an illegal manner, and to this day we still have the papers for the ownership of the land in Palestine, right? And I don't want to go into a deep discussion over the politics of it all. Same thing, family in Syria that is riddled with war. And war, war is something that has been ongoing, The situation with Ukraine, it hits close to heart for the West because it's in such close proximity, right? And everything, inherently, people are very tribal, right? People are very tribal, They see people that are very similar to, the people that are around them being at war. It becomes scary, right? But as a person, with my father always having Al Jazeera on and, always seeing news growing up from the age of 1 and all the way up until the point where I moved out, there was always war, always war, always people suffering. And there is this saying, there's this saying that one drop of blood makes the whole ocean red. I always stand with the people that are suffering because there's the collateral damage of innocent people and even some soldiers being sent into war that they don't truly want to fight and being brainwashed into thinking that it's a good idea. I stand with the people. I stand with the innocent people that are suffering in Ukraine. There's innocent people that are going to suffer in Russia too. There's just going to be innocent people suffering. And there's nothing that is worth that. And at the highest level, whatever, it's like the justification always at the highest level in terms of politics, right? It's just a question of exuding and exerting power over the landmass that we live on. It's just a game, and they don't care for the collateral damage. None of the large countries that dominate the world do. None of them do. They just don't care. Politicians are playing a game over power. The leadership of the strongest countries in the world are just playing a game of power. That's a good way of putting it, the Baka human. Powerful people play the game and innocent people pay the price. 100%. So I always stand with civilians that suffer. Always stand with the civilians that suffer. This game of power, it's been ongoing, right? It's like this game of power has been ongoing. What happened in Syria and the democracy coming to the Middle East, and the tragic thing about the Middle East is, what's Like in the context of Ukraine, you can see how the world is coming together. Like at least the world that we see, right? I think that's important to make the distinction. People are coming together to support the suffering people of Ukraine, right? I think it's important also to recognize that there's going to be people in Russia that suffer too. And they are also regular people, right? They're also regular people, and all of them are innocent in this, you know? And the key thing, what I wanted to point out is, you know, it's like the neighboring countries of Ukraine, people are coming together for the people of Ukraine. But in the Middle East, you know, sure, the world is always watching, but even in the countries in the Middle East can't even support each other, you know? My father always told me that the most frustrating thing about the conflict in Palestine and the history of what has happened in Palestine is that there are neighboring countries with wealth that is beyond imagination. A united Middle East would be very terrifying and very powerful. It would be the strongest of the worlds, you know. The crazy thing about the politicians that are fighting over power is that they are all using the same justification as to why they do it. So they believe they are righteous in their cause. Because in their state of mind, their excuse is, if we don't try to take power, then someone else will take power over us. And this is just human history. This is human nature even. Tribalism at the highest level, with the highest cost. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. But once again, I want to end on a note that we should always stand for humanity. We should go against human suffering. We should help the innocent. This is the most important. And there's going to be a lot of suffering on both sides always. Do you know of any just rulers throughout history? I think most of them are murdered. Anyhow, I'm going to take off now. I'm going to take some time off. I hope everything can settle down in the world. And I think anyone knows that when you interact, like I've rarely met bad people. Really. I've rarely met bad people. And how media portrays things and how we are designed as humans to always look for negatives, right? It's like we are attractive to looking at negative and danger things because biologically, how I understand it is that we want to prepare ourselves for potential danger, right? That's where like gossiping started. Why is gossiping so fun? Because it's rewarding in some sense that maybe you find some information that can protect you, right? Imagine in the past, you lived in a village of 20 people and you know that one guy in the village was a complete, I don't know, I don't want to say something fucked up, but he was doing some fucked up shit in his house, and then now the thing spreads around, and now you know, it's like you fucking stay clear of that fucking house. It's like, yo, this fucking mushroom is fucking poison people, man. I was like, oh shit, this fucking mushroom poison people? Holy shit, this is good fucking information for us to know. That's probably a better example than the random dude doing shit in his house. It's like, this fucking mushroom kills people? We need to fucking spread this information, this fucking mushroom is dangerous, And there was a benefit to looking for information like that, It's like, oh, the fucking danger, it spreads around the group very fast. And so we can't eat those mushrooms. Fuck those mushrooms, right? And now somehow, it's like, we humans, it's like we're still attracted to that negativity, right? But we are looking at it in places that has nothing to do with us. Right? We're looking at it like we go on this vast web, right? With algorithms that are designed in a way where they just learn about you more and more, and they try to keep you on the website. So naturally, the conclusion is things that stir you up. You just find yourself in a situation where negativity comes your way, right? I remember this bit by Bill Burr. He's like, I want to be able to interact with kids in the street, So you want to be able to oh hey, this is like rub the head of a kid. Hey, how you doing, kid? To do some with strange faces at him, make him laugh or something. It's like just a interaction with a child. But now you can't anymore, because it's fucking every fucking TV on TV. It's like, yo, this fucking sex predator. And it's like, and now everyone on TV sees that shit, and then it's like, oh, this fucking sex predator is lurking behind every fucking corner. You need to be fucking careful nowadays. But it's strange how that information can shape opinions and reality. It's too dangerous. And the initial point I wanted to make is most people that I interact with and see are nice people, but it's like media gives us such a distorted view of the other side or other people. Maybe I've been lucky, right? I haven't met that many evil people, genuinely evil, bad people. That's very rare, right? But sometimes how things get portrayed is as if fucking danger is lurking behind every corner. But there's a lot of things, if we look back at the past 50 years, that have vastly improved in terms of vastly improved in terms of life quality, right? Life quality has improved so fucking much, yet complaining is at an all-time high. The shit that is going on in Ukraine really puts some of this fucking shit that people are complaining about in perspective, right? Really puts it in fucking perspective. So imagine there's this fucking war in Yemen, and fucking people are complaining about the most crazy shit, It's there's a lot of things that are good. But maybe it's easy for me to say because, my experience has been good, and everyone has a different experience. But it's rare that I meet bad people. To be fair, I don't go outside much, right? So there's that too. But we don't need to go into a deep philosophical conversation that's gonna get me demonetized. Thank you very much, Tobacco Human. India is a place that I've been wanting to visit, actually. Feeling very, very, very confident. I'll catch you guys on the next episodes, which will be very late. I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe after the first round of playoffs or something. I'll catch you guys some other time. Bye-bye. And if you sneeze during this podcast, bless you and bless your face. And if for some reason you use my podcast as a sleeping aid, I don't judge. I hope you have pleasant, lovely dreams with like puppies attacking you. It's like you are in a banana hammock, and then like fluffy Labrador puppies just begin to like float in the sky and just land in that banana hammock with you, and they're so excited and they're just, all over the place. So many cute puppies. And then there's an ice cream truck with your favorite flavor of ice cream, and the ice cream man looks very charismatic and charming, and he just offers you, he smiles at you, and then God descends from the sky and gives you $1 million. Just gives you $1 million. And then there's 4 rainbows, and yeah, that's it.